Now that was impressive. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Buckeyes as Ohio State shut out Cincinnati 42-0. Yeah, it was debated last week as to whether Ohio State's performance 45-21 over FAU was impressive because the first four drives were perfection. They basically threw the ball against air. Every running lane was crisp and clear, and the path was clear, and J.K. Dobbins was moving the hole, and he looked good. The receivers looked great. They were burning DBs all over the place. Justin Fields was on time and delivering the football, although everybody was wide open, so he didn't have to throw any tough passes. So 4 amazing drives, and then they shut down. Nothing looked bad. The defense looked great basically the entire day, gave up a couple garbage touchdowns. So Ohio State's effort uneven to a certain extent in regards to, well, did FAU catch up with them and Ohio State was not able to adjust, or did the athletes just shut down and not get it done because the offensive line was not doing its job? Second and third stringers in the game, we'll keep that in mind as well for the Buckeyes against FAU. So tougher opponent, an opponent that's not worthy to the extent of giving Ohio State a down-to-the-wire game that they may see against Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan State, and the game maybe. But the type of opponent that we see it all the time. Group of fives against a really good Power 5 gives them a game. And Cincinnati last year, 11-2, did lose some parts on defense, but the offense basically back and beat UCLA 24-14 and really dominated the game against the Bruins last week. So the spread was only 15 points. Typically, Ohio State-Cincinnati reeks of 28 to 35 point spread. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. We analyze college football like nobody else. Call-in shows, live streams, guests, best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the nation we bring on a regular basis. So lock it in right here. Let's talk about the Buckeyes, and we can almost point out in the first half what they didn't do right would take a lot less time than what they did right because everything was pretty well as scripted, both offensively and defensively. I don't know the last time Ohio State pitched a shutout. Doesn't come to mind. Of course, they didn't last year. I'll have to look that up. I thought that might come to mind. But on the first series, Jonah Jackson had a hold penalty that killed the drive. Drew Chrisman punted to the 1. It was textbook. Chris Olave got under the punt right at the 1-yard line. Justin Fields breaks contain on the first touchdown of the game. He sets up in the pocket, sees the opening, splits the defense, touchdown 7-0 Buckeyes. Jeffrey Okudah on defense is a stud. What you love to see out of a cornerback who has the speed, the awareness to play the ball, can break on the football, so not just great speed, but change of directions because cornerbacks, you're playing defense, you don't know where the ball's coming, where it is. So the change of direction is exceptional. Plus, he's a physical player, a hitter, Jeff Okudah. Ohio State hasn't lost to Cincinnati. Now they've won 15 straight against the Bearcats, dating to 1897. There was an exchange of fourth down failures by the Buckeyes that put Cincinnati in good shape where they stopped Ohio State. And then I thought it was a bad play call. Justin Fields was in the shotgun, and there were no backs in the backfield, empty backfield, and it was 4th and a half a yard. It was basically easy to see that Ohio State was running Justin Fields up the middle, and they did, and he got thrown for a loss. On the other end of the field, Cincinnati converted. And at that point of the game, still a ball game, 7-0, and Cincinnati was down inside of the red zone of the Buckeyes. But Ohio State consistently just got the big plays. Chase Young on that particular drive that Cincinnati converted 4th down. Chase Young blocks a field goal, gets through in the middle, blocks the field goal. Tremendous athlete he is, one of the best in the country, of course. Rated, regardless of position, most services had him as a top 20 or 25 player in the nation, maybe even higher than that. It was good to see sophomore Tyreek Smith coming off the edge for his first career sack. He did not play last week. Tyreek Smith, a big recruit out of Cleveland 2 years ago. Unfortunate incident involving former Alabama player Kyrique McDonald, who had to leave the national championship game against Georgia a couple years ago, and he collapsed on the field and had to be taken off. They rushed the ambulance out there, the stretcher. They took him off. Fortunately, he was able to regain enough awareness and strength to walk into the locker room. But Kyrique McDonald left the game for Cincinnati. Ohio State again, textbook, 6 plays, 87 yards, a minute 49. J.K. Dobbins, he was running well, 17 carries for a $141 against a legit defense, a good defense. Ohio State 21-0. They just poured it on. Desmond Ridder knocked out of the game momentarily, came back into the game. The future for Cincinnati is freshman Ben Bryant, who was recruited by all the big Power 5 schools and was a high recruit, and he came into the game momentarily. Shaun Wade, we talk about Okudah, we talk about Chase Young. Shaun Wade had a huge day. He laid the lumber. He's not the biggest guy on the field. He laid the lumber a number of times. One of those times, he broke up a pass inside the 5-yard line, and that turned into a Pete Werner interception on the deflection. The other time, he laid the lumber on somebody, put the receiver flat on his back, ball popped up. Chase Young was trailing the play, had it right in his hands. He was thinking pick six, and Chase Young dropped that interception. Beautiful pass from Justin Fields to Chris Olave on the right sideline that got the Buckeyes inside the 10. Justin Fields scored. Actually, that was the drive. Garrett Wilson, wanted to highlight Garrett Wilson. If you look at the stat sheet, 1 catch, 9 yards. But that catch, first career Buckeye touchdown, 5-star from Texas, scoring, and not just he was wide open, let's toss him the ball. High pointed the football, outfought the defender, ripped it away. Great catch by Garrett Wilson, showing us what Buckeye fans are hoping to see more down the line. They don't need him this year. The wide receiver core is stacked. 28-0. Benjamin Victor actually led the team in receiving yards, and that's a good sign for the Buckeyes. It was 28-0 at half, 35-0. Again, Shaun Wade making plays. It's all over my notes. Master Teague got into the game once J.K. was ripping up the Bearcats. Master Teague, 11 carries for 60. He looked strong for sure. The Ohio State rush defense against what's been one of the, at least was last year, one of the top rushing units in college football at Cincinnati, 3.1 yards per carry against Ohio State's defense. So the Buckeyes turn in another sound defensive effort. Justin Fields, almost flawless, 20 of 25, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns running, 2 touchdowns passing, no picks. Ohio State had 5 sacks, continually just relentless in their pursuit of Ridder and the rest of the Bearcat ball carriers. Luke Fickell, of course, returning to Ohio State for the first time as an enemy of sorts. Great Ohio State defensive lineman. Longtime assistant, interim head coach in 2011, bridging the Tressel and Meyer eras. And an outstanding job thus far based on his second season in Cincinnati. Took over 4-8. His first year was difficult, and then he turned in 11 wins plus a bowl win against Virginia Tech last year. But Cincinnati cannot handle Ohio State. 42-0 Buckeyes as Ohio State prepares itself for Big Ten play. And a date at Indiana coming up next week. Cincinnati takes on Miami of Ohio. Your thoughts about the Buckeyes right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Lock it in. Share the videos, comment, subscribe, do all those good things. And, of course, hit that like button. We'll see you soon.